was time to change out my old ceiling fans in the family room. I needed to put in a new model that had the lights included. One problem I had was the high ceilings. My ladder wasn't high enough to reach the ceiling, and I wasn't about to start building another scaffold like I did for the recess lighting. So I was going to have to find a way to put in a new fan and allow for the electronics right at the base. I haven't totally figured out exactly how I was going to do that, but the first order of business is to disassemble the old one. Since this is the original ceiling fan and over 20 years old, I was going to go step by step and figure out exactly how to dismantle it. It wasn't just a matter of taking out a few screws and removing the parts piece by piece. I had to find a way to remove this in a manner that I could accommodate the new fan with its electronics. I quickly found that I couldn't remove the top plate without accessing a bolt that was locking it down inside the unit. In order to access that bolt, I was going to have to cut the wires and pull down its housing unit. After getting a firm grasp on the removal process, I went on to the second ceiling fan. Amazing how fast things can go when you finally know exactly what you're doing. After getting the old fans down, it was time to move on to figuring out exactly how I was going to retrofit the new ones. Since I didn't have access to the ceiling plate where I would put the remote control receiving unit, I'd have to figure out a way to get it down to this level without interfering with the operation of the fan. I decided that the best way to do that is to remove the top housing that receives the downpipe, and then somehow drill a hole inside the housing and redistribute the wires into a different section. The wires were connected by push clips, so all I had to do was get a flat jeweler's screwdriver to release the wires one at a time and redistribute them. Before that, I'm going to drill a hole in the housing to reroute the wires. I utilize a piece of wood and some EVA foam to make sure that when I drilled to the housing, I wouldn't damage the wires inside. I started off with the smallest bit that I had and then slowly moved up until I had approximately a 3/8 hole. You want to be very careful and methodical during this process because not only do you not want to damage the wire inside, you definitely don't want to damage your hand. And the process is difficult without clamping down this unit that's moving freely. I repeated this process for the second fan unit. These drill bits are fairly new, but with the constant use, it's time for me to pull out my drill doctor and give them a quick sharpening. There's a video on my channel about the drill doctor and exactly how it works. Next order of business is to slowly release each wire one by one and then reroute it into the new hole, while simultaneously separating them from the downrod housing. After releasing each wire with the jeweler's driver, I left the jeweler's driver in place so that I could bring back the wire in the same position. After the harness is safely rerouted, I gently tuck back the wires into the housing. I neglected to film this crucial part of the installation. I needed a housing for the new electronics. I found this bowl-shaped lampshade, and I put some EVA foam inside of it so that it snugly fit on the down rod and a chrome cap on the top. Then I screwed back on the top housing for the wiring harness. After getting this part firmly secured, it was time for the more difficult part of holding up the fan unit, threading in the electrical wiring, and then securing it to the base. I'll tighten in a couple of set screws to make sure that any fan vibration don't loosen up the unit. It was a bit awkward working in the high ladder alone, holding this heavy unit in one hand while trying to fish in the wires through this small hole that had existing wires inside of it, and then putting it in place and locking in the set screws. But with a little bit of care and a whole lot of patience, I was able to get it done. There are 3 screws holding this housing unit in place, so I had to reposition myself on the ladder for each screw. I repeated the process on the other unit before installing the electronics and the fan blades. And as I said before, the second time around is always a whole lot easier. It was now time to assemble the LED lighting in the bottom of the unit. That was a quick process of removing 3 screws to access the wiring, then connecting the LED panel. Now I have to install the remote receiver in this unit, and then secure it into my retrofitted bowl in a manner where it won't interfere with the operation of the ceiling fan. The final process is to install the 5 fan blades. I had to make several trips up and down the ladder to get all the fan blades in place, but through the magic of video and editing, I don't have to take you through that process. Last step was pulling down and securing the retrofitted cover. A quick test before finishing up the second unit. And that's the end of this project. Don't forget to like, comment, and share, and press the bell notification. And please subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.